So yeah, it's going to be this is a really, really, really good time at the minute.
Okay, we are actually live, which is lovely. So this morning we are discussing PPE preparations for reopening. Each of the barbers that have joined me this morning have different types of businesses, and I'd like to invite them to introduce themselves. So let's start with Karl.
Hi there, good morning. I'm Karl Foster. I've been a barber now for well over 30 years. I opened my first shop in 1995. Since then, we rebranded in 2014, and we're now a franchise with 27 shops, about 130 self-employed barbers that work under the brand, and still looking to grow.
Fantastic. Alex?
Hi, Rachel. Yeah, thanks for having me. My name's Alex Burt, and I'm from Teddy Edwards Barbershop down in Brighton. I've been cutting for about 25 years now, and I have two shops. First opened in March 2013, and then the second one opened in 2015.
And Natalie.
Hi, I'm Natalie. Well, I own Cresswell Barber Company in Southampton. I've been practicing around 13 years nearly. One shop in Southampton, and I have a team of 6.
Fantastic. And so tell me, let's start with Karl. Tell me about your preparations for your large business for PPE.
Well, we've loads of Zoom calls with all the shop owners, the franchisees, barbers themselves, just preparing them. And there aren't any guidelines out yet, and there probably won't be for another couple of weeks. So you just have to come up with your own sensible ideas. So we're just constantly in touch with everybody, just making sure that they know what we think should happen when we open. So we're putting our guidelines in place. If then there are different guidelines we need to add to at the end of the day, then we haven't got as much PPE to buy or whatever. We've pretty much got it already beforehand.
So talk me through the guidelines that you have got in place.
So right from will be 100% appointment, minimal people in the shop, so only one appointment in. If you turn up early for your appointment, you have to wait outside. We're cutting down the barbers that we have in a shop, so our chairs are in most of our shops are currently too close to have everybody working, so we'll either have to work on a rotation rota system, open longer hours. The appointment times will have to be at least 10 minutes longer than normal to allow cleaning down in between. It'll be cashless. Everybody will have, every barber will have a disposable gown. So change the gown in between, disposable gowns for customers. So all of that will be changed in between every session. And yeah, could clean down, and then the next customer will then be free to come in when his time is ready. We don't believe in gloves. If the guidelines change, then we'll look at that. But personally, we've looked at it. We've spoken to doctors, loads of people in the industry, and I think if you've got gloves on, you're not as safe as you are with your hands cleaned regularly. If you wash your hands before the next customer, you put your hand sanitizer on, which then blocks anything getting to you, and then in between every customer, just wash your hands again. I think it's a lot safer than wearing gloves, because I know there will be a lot of people who think, well, I've got gloves on, I'm safe. But actually, then are you going to make sure you change your gloves in between every customer? Other countries have had 2 sets of gloves, so you have to wear an underset of gloves and a second set of gloves, and change the second set in between every customer. Which we're all barbers in here. We know that cutting hair in gloves is not going to be easy anyway. You're going to snip it. You can't help it. You're going to end up with frayed bits of
problem as well.
Rubber everywhere. So, I personally think you'd be better off. You're going to spend more time cleansing your own hands than you would do if you had gloves on, just because of that. Mentally, it's in there.
See, this is the one thing that I think that that I'm sort of still sort of struggling to make a final decision on based on that, because cutting hair, obviously, like clippering's really easy, you know, that's absolutely fine, but it's when you come to like the sectioning
Yeah.
and like using the scissors, you know, I mean, for me, when I cut hair and I do my sections, I cut really tight into
Yeah.
like the
Right.
into like the ridge of my fingers, so it's kind of, and like my scissors are just going to snag the gloves, like, and
It makes this anyway.
And to be fair, at the moment, it's going to be fairly stressful for everybody getting back because we're all so close together, aren't we? So, you know, so close to the customer. So it's going to be a little bit stressful for everybody getting back into the rhythm. That extra stress of snipping your gloves and done it again.
Yeah.
You know,
This is something that I find really interesting because obviously we haven't had any sort of telling yet as to what we're going to need, and all of the forums there has been so many people saying, you know, I'm getting this, I'm getting that. We just do not know yet what we need, and obviously things that are quite standard are obviously gloves, barrier sort of tools. In my shop we use gloves a lot anyway, especially for beards, anything where you might get a cross infection through, you know, like if you nick someone or whatever. I personally use gloves just for beard shaping and for blade work, but I don't use gloves for cutting. I can't get the, you know, the stretch on my hands properly. I've got quite big hands for a girl anyway, but some of my guys at my shop, they like to use them. My partner James, he uses them constantly. But it's amazing what people are getting in place already that I feel might be slightly unnecessary. Like, I don't know, it's each to their own, and every barber shop is different. One thing that I think that is quite interesting is a lot of people are putting up these like plastic shields in shops. Have you seen that?
Yeah,
I've got the actual dividers.
Yeah. And
I
it's
personally think it's a bit overkill.
Yeah, I think it's almost pointless. You're
as long as you're
masks on your clients, masks on yourself.
It's different. If your chairs are all close together and you need to have a shield in between, that's fair enough. But if you've got a big enough shop where, you know, your barbers can rotate or whatever, and you just keep distance as much as anything else.
But the thing I find very interesting is we are the last in the pecking order, and for a good reason. I know a lot of people want to open a lot sooner, but we are opening later because we are obviously an industry where we are at a high risk. We will not be open until there is a lot of a less risk, you know. We're actually, we're at level 4 at the moment, aren't we? And then we're just about to go into level 3, and then we're at level 2 on supposedly the 4th of July. It says, have you actually seen that thing that Boris Johnson has put up, you know, where it says all the levels?
Yeah.
Get it up on my phone for people that haven't seen it. This thing here. See if people can see it.
Yeah.
So where I've highlighted it, we are on level 2, and supposedly 4th of July. It says on here we will be opening on level 2 when COVID is present in the UK, but the number of cases and transmission is low, and the action for us will be no or minimal social distancing measures, enhanced testing, tracing, monitoring, and screening. So that says to me, no or minimal PPE. We will not be opening until it is a lot safer than it is now. And I don't think screens and all of this, you know, plastic coverings and these plastic aprons, I think people are going to be wasting their money, in all honesty, especially, I mean, I'll eat my words if on the 4th of July we need all this. We haven't been told yet what we need. And we are in at the moment because we haven't been trading, and people are quick to buy all this stuff.
Yeah.
I think I'll tell you what highlighted it for me. Sorry, carry on. Sorry.
Right, no, you crack on.
Was what I found really interesting was the Barbicides certification thing, which in some ways I thought was a really good thing, because it's kind of getting everybody into the mindset of what they need to like prepare themselves for when they actually do come back, and how you can actually be a little bit more responsible within the workplace and minimize the risk of spreading like any potential virus that you do have like within the workplace. But what it highlighted to me really was it's just common sense, like, and that actually is,
anyway.
Yeah, do you know what
But
I mean?
we know that there are a lot that aren't. So
I completely
this is it.
agree.
Yeah,
And a lot of people are chucking money at this. And do you know, after doing some research, my partner did some research as well. He's a barber as well, works in my shop. He was telling me that the best solution to use in your shop is soap and water.
Yeah.
The most effective and quickest way of breaking down the virus is the only thing to break down this fatty layer out around the cell of the virus. If you pop say like a disinfectant spray like a Dettol or something on your chairs or something, it needs to emulsify and it needs 4 minutes minimum for it to work. Same on your clippers, things like Barbicide and you know, like Cool Care spray and things like that. The minimum of 4 minutes to clean your tools. So I would rather invest in money in getting secondary tools like more combs, a second pair of scissors, or well, I've got like 4, but more pairs of scissors that I can rotate whilst they clean. Do you know what I mean? Instead of buying these barriers that we might not need.
Well, I think even things like soap and water is the best. That is the first thing. But you've got to have 2 lots of tools. 2 neck brushes, for example. You've got to have 1 neck brush in UV. In between every other haircut. So you've got to have 2 of those. Simple little things like that a lot of people won't think of, but they'll just pick up the neck brush and go for the next person. But
I mean, yourself, you have 27 shops, as we were discussing earlier. What are you going to do about the pricing? I mean, I have just 1 shop and I have 6 staff. I might get a couple of my old staff in that have been laid off by other jobs now, just to sort of, help with the workload when we first reopen. But how are you going to cost it back? I don't see any other.
Going to have to.
Yeah.
Going to have to. We can't swallow. Even if it's a couple of quid a haircut, and it's not just that. We're doing 10-minute longer appointments, so you're going to lose the amount of haircuts you can do during a day, or you've got to do longer hours, or whatever. So you've got to cost it back on time as well.
And I think the key is going to be like how to communicate that with the customers, because they're going to be coming out of this, and some of them are going to be on lockdown where they don't have a lot of money, and I think naturally it might get some of their backs up. But I think as long as you communicate to them in a way of going, look, this is like what the reason for the increase is because of A, B, and C. I think that's just going to put them at ease a lot more as well.
Well, you can do it 1 or 2 ways. You can either put the price up by 2 or 3 quid a time, or you can say it's the same price plus PPE. So people know that actually it's costing. So
it's interesting because I saw that a few people have already posted their new guidelines with like things like PPE. Some are saying that they'll provide it. Some are saying that you can buy it from the barbershop. Some are saying you have to bring it. Now, I think personally, I would feel a lot safer for my clients and my staff if we were to buy it in, and then we know that there's like a consistent level of protection with everybody. Because everybody knows that a lot of these masks expire. They've only got a few hours in them to protect everybody. If somebody walked into my shop and I said, you can't have a haircut unless you got a mask on, I don't know that they've had that mask for a couple of months. Do you know what I mean? I would be feeling a lot safer knowing that I provided that consistent level of protection for everybody.
Absolutely.
I charge that back. I am personally a little bit nervous because we did have a price increase myself in my shop on March the 1st, just before we stopped trading. But I trust in my customers, and I know that they will understand that we've got to do this. And
I think they'd rather pay a little bit more and have yours. It's the barber's safety as well as theirs. They've got to respect that the barbers are touching people when they should be 2 meters away from them. So they've got to respect our business as well as we're respecting them. So everybody should have a mask on when they come in. If not, they can buy one at the door.
Can I just pitch in one question from, or a comment really from Vicky Ferguson saying, shampooing the client would be with gloves on, and then taking the gloves off and cutting their hair might be a way to deal with that. What are you guys doing about shampooing?
We're asking our customers to wash their hair before they come in.
Yeah, we'll be doing this. We'll be doing the same. I mean, we do have a wash station in this shop here, but the other one we don't. So, but it is something that we'll be asking our customers to do.
I've actually ordered a couple of wash basins yesterday. I've got 2 already built into my chairs, and I bought a couple second hand until I get the brand new ones that I bought. But again, just reiterating what I was saying a minute ago, I want to make sure that the hair is washed to my standard and my staff standard. I've got a Saturday girl that's already, she's just finished school, she's finished college, she's looking for a full-time position. So during the summer or the next couple of months, she has offered to work full-time, and she's going to wash all of our clients' hair for us, with gloves on, obviously. And it keeps her happy. We know that the client's hair has been thoroughly washed to our standards as well. It's not that I don't trust my clients, but I just want to be 100% sure. Do you know what I mean?
Well, you want to keep it consistent.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're not going to do old plastic sort of sheeting thing, but I'd rather wash their hair because it's going to give them a better cut anyway.
Yeah. It's just again extra time, more to clean in between. That's a problem, because especially when we open, it's just going to be, you're going to have less barbers in the shop, so you've got to do more hours.
The phone's going to be ringing more.
Yeah. It's going to be a crazy time. So
push everyone to the app.
Sammy D has asked what you're going to do with the straps on the masks.
Well, I think most people have seen the Facebook thing from the guy. I think he was in Spain. Who took the earpieces around the back.
Put the hair clip.
Put them on with a hair clip.
Just a simple hair clip around the back.
If you can't do that because their hair's longer at the back and you need more space, you're just going to have to get them to hold the mask in front of their face just while you're doing that bit.
You can only do.
Yeah, it's down to common sense at the end of the day. You've got to let that bit prevail a little bit.
Yeah.
So I've been so kind of slightly connected to that, because it's all sort of around that area. So I've been getting questions quite a bit through social media from our customers saying, what are we doing about beard trims? So I'd be interested to know what you guys are.
We won't do them.
Yeah.
You can't be in somebody's face. So beard trims, shaves will be out for a while. You just can't. At least when you're standing behind the customer or to the side, you're not directly in their face. And I think customers have got to, like I said earlier, they've got to respect the fact that we're getting back to work and touching people constantly today, and barbers are putting themselves a bit at risk here, because they continue, as long as they're clean in between, should be okay, but they are still putting themselves at risk. So to not do beard trims.
The government says you can do them. Will you have faith that you can do them? You trust your own sort of, I'm going to wait a few weeks before
I think it's like, I think the problem is, again, it's kind of what it all keeps coming back to, is that there just are no guidelines. People just don't know. And I know this is an extreme case, but I heard somebody speaking the other day about how like back during the 80s, like when the AIDS virus was kind of at its peak, as it were, there was so much kind of fear and uncertainty about it. Back then people didn't know that that you could hold hands or kiss somebody and not contract the virus. And I think we're in sort of similar times at the minute. There's a lot of fear. There's a lot of uncertainty about how this virus actually works, and with things like beard trims, we just don't know. And I think it's just safer, I think, at the minute, just to go, look, we're not doing it until we actually do know. And then once people do have a lot more understanding on it, then we can start breaking back into some of the smaller services like that.
So one of the things that you're saying then, Alex, is that it's not just dealing with the virus; it's dealing with the fear from the client about infection, and probably from the staff.
Yeah, well, because also I think what a lot of this PPE equipment as well is going to address a lot of people's paranoia. People like there's two things that I think is going to happen to the industry. That's quite evident at the moment. Number one, from a positive side, is that people haven't realised how much they love getting their hair cut and visiting the shop as much as they have now. And I think that's a really positive thing to take from this. And so we have to be really aware of when they do come back walking through the door, is that we are all like, hey, how's it going? Lovely to see you again. And getting that magic going again. But then the flip side to that is that when people sat in the chair, they're going to be a little bit nervous about going back into a public space, because you know what it's like if you're walking through the park or just down the street or whatever it is. People are kind of a little bit more parted, and they are a little bit more kind of nervous to acknowledge you. I've definitely sort of seen that sort of
really apparent everywhere you go at the moment. You walk out the aisle in Waitrose or whatever, and somebody close to you, you automatically. So for somebody to sit in your chair, you've got to install confidence in them. As soon as they walk in the door, you've got to have your mask on. They've got to feel a bit confident about coming in. They're going to be in an enclosed space with somebody touching them. So that's not something I've been used to for the last 3 months.
One of the questions that Kevin Vorley's asked about is about children and cutting children's hair. How will you manage that?
So for us, we won't do any children unless they can sit on a seat on their own. If they have to sit on a parent's lap, there's again, you'll be in the parent's place, you'll be in the child's place. It's not a safe environment. So as long as the child can sit on their own, then there'll be one parent allowed, obviously, to sit in the shop and wait for them.
And at the end of the day, if the parents get upset that they can't get their children's hair cut, and there's a lot of people fearing that people will go somewhere else, competition are, doing this and doing that, they're cutting kids' hair somewhere else. You just got to trust in yourself and trust that client needs to respect your wishes. And
we're looking after our barbers as well as anything else. That's
that's it. They're already cutting their kids' hair at home anyway, so if it takes a couple more months, then it does. That's just the way it's got to be. It's for their safety, and that's exactly what you were saying a minute ago. We need to reiterate that it's for them. We're doing it all for them. We're not trying to penalise anybody. It's just because we've opened the doors doesn't mean that the virus is gone. We need to still be keeping a huge safe standard in this industry.
So how are you sharing this information with customers, or how do you plan to?
Social media, posters in the windows, obviously the booking system. When people book in, they'll get an email to say what they can and can't do when they, the way they should approach the shop. Everything, that will all be in the email when they confirm their booking. So,
yeah, I agree. We use Booksy, and Booksy has been brilliant. Obviously, most booking systems. There are other booking systems out there. But there are many that you can do marketing to, so emailing your clients, push notifications, text messages, posters in your windows, just everything. Videos on Instagram. Instagram is such a huge tool. There's still a lot of people that don't use it in this industry, and it's a useful free tool for us to be able to contact our clients. When we went into lockdown, a video out, and it reached all of our clients instantly. Rather than wasting money on leaflets and posters, and do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's a really good point. If there's any barbers watching, is that having booking systems like I'm on Booksy as well, and I completely agree with what Nat is saying. Is that that the ability to communicate with your audience is so important. And that sometimes I think a lot of barbers make the mistake of communicating to their audience via social media, i.e. like sort of putting something up on like Instagram, for example. But the reality is that the amount of your full database that would actually see a post like that is actually really, really slim. So having something like Booksy is where you can just email out to your entire database and communicate your message. It's really important.
We use Nearcut, and they're the same. You know, you can email everybody. Let's just get it out there. You know, you're booking an appointment, so you're going to look at that confirmation. To know how you have to approach the shop. You've got to wash your hair. You know, you can't do any. You can't see. You know, so it's all there. The email, and it's direct to them.
Can you just clear this up for me? I don't know about Nearcut, but I'd like to know. I know that with Booksy, they've got a couple new features out. Before lockdown, you could ask questions with people to see if they had any symptoms and stuff before being able to book. And they've got this new feature called I'm Ready, and it's really, really new. It only came out last week, and it's basically if we're not allowed to have people waiting in the shop, people can go and wait outside or wait, you know, locally in a caf or I don't know, on a park bench somewhere or in the cars somewhere, just not in your shop. You can push this I'm Ready button and it will notify them 5 minutes before you're ready for them, which I thought was really useful. I mean, I don't know about other companies like Nearcut, but I imagine they've also got, you know, coronavirus kind of things coming out.
I think Nearcut have got more systems in there than I would probably ever use. But, but it's a bit like my phone. I can't work that properly either. But I mean, you know, I think with the timing system, you know, even if you're pressing something like that, you still really want to stick to that. You don't want to tell them 5 minutes before you're ready. You just want to be ready. You want the last customer to be out of the shop, clean down, and then, you know, move on. A lot of people will be there perfectly on time anyway because they all really want a good haircut at the moment.
Because there's talks where you can have a maximum of say 10 people. Obviously we don't know yet, it's speculation, but as far as I'm aware, we're only allowed 10 people in a building at a time or something. That's something I've read.
We're keeping ours to an absolute minimum. We've got some bigger shops, but we will use every other chair. We won't use every chair.
I'm going to be the same.
You do shifts?
Yeah. Well, in the shops that we have more barbers, we'll definitely do shifts. Some of our shops will open on Sundays just to get through this. A lot of them do anyway.
That's what we're doing. We're going to be opening 12-hour days, 7 days a week, just to accommodate. And so what we've sort of kind of worked out is that our barbers will end up working like a 3-day week, but they'll just cram all their hours into those 3 days.
Yeah. So are they going to be making much of are they going to be making more or like a loss? You know, because obviously we're getting things like furlough payments and you know, government help. By staggering your staff and opening sort of longer hours, does that work out more cost effective? Or I mean, obviously it's better to open than not, but you know,
we've spoken with all the barbers in the shop and got them to do a rota. I mean, you should, you know, and the shops that have got more barbers, if they can all be in at one time, kind of fair enough. But if somebody then gets it, everybody then has to go into quarantine. You've got your shop closed. Whereas if you work on two teams, an A team and a B team, as long as they don't come into contact with each other, if somebody gets it, you've still got another team that can keep the shop open.
That's actually a good idea. My chairs are staggered anyway. That I've got 3 on one side and 2 the other side. And you know, this is the thing, if we're going to be opening and touching people anyway, we should be able to be back to back to each other. You know, I don't really, the lines are very muddy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We just got to wait to see what they come out with, really.
Well,
what do you think about blow drying?
We've said no blow drying, which actually I looked over the NHF, spoken to the NHF about it, and that they haven't actually said no blow drying at the moment.
But what?
Personally, for you know, air conditioning systems, and you know, if you're just going to blow stuff around all over, you know, what's the point in, you know, you're going to need a bigger distance between everybody, aren't you? If you just blow drying stuff all over the place and blow drying germs everywhere, I think is crazy.
If your client has a mask on and they've had their hair washed in your salon and you're satisfied that the hair is completely clean, and they've had hand sanitizer on, you know, would you blow dry the hair? Would you put the aircon on?
They could still have germs elsewhere. They, you know, you could just, you know, it's just, I think it's just cutting it down.
There's too many variables.
You've got to have the doors open anyway, because you've got to circulate the air as much as possible. You don't want to be locked in a box. So air conditioning doesn't work with the doors open anyway. So we've said minimal fan, if at all, with an air conditioning system, just a fan, but very minimal to stop as much circulation. You want the air to go out, not just be circulated around the shop.
Yeah.
There's one little point as well that I'm sort of trying to work out how we're going to play it and what we're going to put into place, but also staff rooms. So I don't know, like sort of what your guys' staff rooms are like, but obviously, you know, they're normally, you know, you've got like your kitchenette and, you know, people leave their tea mugs and everything. So what are you guys doing to ensure that everyone's playing ball behind the scenes, like in the staff rooms?
I think certainly the split of the lunch breaks and what have you, people having lunch. If you stagger those and everybody in the shop works together on that, so that they don't do an appointment at a certain time, so everybody else, you know, you agree your time that you want to have lunch, and that's when you have lunch. So it keeps it to an absolute minimum of people out the back. And yeah, another thing is that, you know, we won't let customers use the toilets or go through at the back or whatever. They'll staff only.
Yeah. Again, it's minimalising that risk, isn't it? It just occurred to me as well. Like a lot of the time, my staff, they go to the little corner shop up the road to get their lunch. You're covered in hair, and it's not been pre-washed, and you go into a shop with hair splinters on you and stuff. You might be into another shop, so perhaps your staff to bring their lunch in instead.
Yeah.
Will you let customers bring food into the shops? One of the viewers asked that.
No.
No,
I think we just need to minimise everything. Like it's kind of going back to what Karl was sort of saying. Really, it's minimising all those variables as much as we possibly can, because the last thing we want is to go through all this again. And you know, and I think, wouldn't it be great that really is that on the whole, our industry would actually sort of show the government how responsible we are actually being and how seriously we are taking this.
And actually, you know, to lift the mood of the country as well, because, you know, like Alex said earlier, you know, our barbershops are full of our customers that we all know, we all have a laugh with. That, you know, I've got customers I've been cutting their hair for over 25 years now, and, you know, they're friends as well. So they come in for a chat. Some of the old boys, you know, they call it Orange Wednesdays when I work or whatever, because, you know, some of the old boys, I've been cutting their hair for so many years and they're all, you know, all retired. But, you know, I'm one of the only people they see and have a chat with or whatever. So to lift the mood of the country as well, everybody feels good after a haircut. Everybody feels good after a chat and a bit of banter in a barbershop. So, you know, let's just, you know, keep everything clean, do the best we can. You know, and hopefully that, like you say, the government might actually see that, you know, it's a good thing to open barbershops again.
Absolutely.
I think that's like, you're only human. You've got to remember you're human, and people that are like, I saw this thing that I shared on my own Facebook page the other day. There's like a meme that went round about, you know, try to be kind to business owners, and you know, there's a lot of people that are frightened that they're going to get sort of judged, you know, when they open, about what sort of safety procedures they've got in place. You know, don't take pictures of everyone being like, oh look, you haven't got gloves on, or this or that. To be kind to each other as well is a huge thing.
Well, do you know, that's a really big point, because there's a famous ice cream shop in Brighton and Hove, and there's always like this famous queue like outside. And a couple of weeks ago, a photographer took a photo of the queue, but did it at a certain angle where it made everybody look like they were really close together than they actually were. And one of my friends was actually in the queue and called out the photographer, going, "What are you doing?" And it was like, you know, that's that guy's business. Do you know what I mean? And it's kind of, and
it's so
it's totally unnecessary. Like, it's
trying to get along and survive, and like, people really don't realise how much money and, you know, how much sacrifice they've made, which, you know, brings us to that ever ongoing point about these mobile barbers going around cutting without, especially ones without PPE on, it's infuriating for that have sacrificed thousands and thousands. Thank you. That have sacrificed thousands and closed their businesses, and those clients that have sacrificed as well. Some of those have still got to go to work with full head of hair. They look amazing. You know, it's bigger than you or me. You know, this is a huge thing, and you know, we just got to remember that we're all human. Do you know what I mean?
Well, one of my barbers said it best actually, was that, you know, with all the barrage from messages that you get from people sometimes about, oh, go on, you know, I'll give you double or whatever, and it's like, oh, brilliant. So you want me to cut your hair, but I'm not allowed to see my own parents.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, and it's like we got a brand new baby girl, and my wife's parents haven't, like, you know, can't even see her yet. Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of.
I think that's a really good point, is that the client has their own responsibility to this situation. And I feel really sorry for all the barbers that have been battered by customers making demands. It's unkind.
It's a massive fingers to everybody that's made that sacrifice, not just us, but, you know, the shopkeepers and, you know, NHS. Gosh, they're literally working in it. Literally in it, and they're getting it on their skin and they're dying from it, and there's people that can't wait 3 months for a haircut. It's absolutely mind-blowing. And I know I've been very vocal about this point, and I've had a lot of people slate me for it, and I don't care. This industry desperately needs some legislation, and you know, there is nothing more heartbreaking than seeing people putting up pictures on their Facebook for me to see of their 2 young children having a haircut by a mobile barber in their garden or in their home without any protection on whatsoever. And I just can't believe that they could be that stupid to put their children in harm's way like that. It's just, and you know, we've got a lot of people upset with this Dominic Cummings guy at the moment. We won't get into that. But it's just as bad. It's just as bad. But apparently it's okay for people to get a haircut at home. You know, it's just a haircut. It's not.
Well, do you know what so here's the thing. So I've, like, around town, I've seen a couple of people with professional haircuts. Okay. You know,
I've seen a lot.
You know, sorry.
I've seen a lot.
Yeah, but also here's the thing, is that I know some of those people that I've spotted, like, I know where they get their haircut, and so, like, that leads me to think that they've had, like, behind the scenes haircuts, like black market haircuts, off of barbers that I know are still operating, and I just sort of find that, like, you know, I'm in a weird thing of kind of like, do I say something? Like, do I call them out on it, or do I just let it go? Or
I think you know, I personally, I'm in the same boat. There's a couple of barbers around where we operate in Shirley in Southampton that are still doing it. You know, I'm not naming names, but there's also some that are in, you know, well, they're not the people I thought would be cutting. Just say that. They're ones that I respected in this industry, and when I found out that they were still cutting, I was absolutely, you know, I was flabbergasted. I couldn't believe that they were doing it. And I made this point yesterday on, I think it was Planet Barber or something yesterday, in one of our barber forums, that I think the problem with the industry at the moment, it's easy to point fingers and be like, oh, you shouldn't be cutting hair and get angry. And I'll admit I've been angry and very vocal about it. But upon reflection, I don't think I've seen any veterans, I could be wrong, but I don't think I've seen any veterans in this trade cutting hair during lockdown. I've seen a lot of new barbers doing it, and ones that haven't quite been educated on the respect that our trade deserves. You know, our clients, you know, they've never respected our trade. That's something that we've had to fight against for years to take seriously. So that's nothing new to us. But it's the new barbers. And it's, you know, I'm not saying anything, but there is a lot of foreign barbers around. But, you know, we could argue all day why that could be. But my personal opinion might be because they don't quite understand how we work in Britain. I don't know. But it's, I don't know, it's just something that I think that the new barber should have an arm put around them and say, come on, mate, you know, you're better than that. You know, you shouldn't be doing that. You know, have some respect for yourself, have some respect for your client and your trade. This is why we need legislating, you know.
Yeah, but perhaps the Barber Council will have better luck once this is over, getting the ear of the government.
Yeah, I hope so. I really hope so. I back it completely. And I know 95%
we're getting massive feedback on your phone.
Of me?
Yeah.
Is it all right now?
Yeah, it's gone now.
Okay.
So sorry to cut you off, but can I just pick up on some of the things that have come up in the feed?
Yeah.
One question is, how will you deal with contaminated waste, like the gowns that you're going to take off customers? What will you do with them?
Separate bins.
Tell me about it.
Well, just a separate bin. There is talk of councils actually coming out with a different bin bag for potential contaminated waste. So whatever we do, whether it is that or not, there'll be separate bins for ours anyway.
And then one was, I know that you're not going to do beard trims, but you're going to line beards out if the mask is still in place.
No.
I mean, as much as anything, as much as anything that you could do is just, clean the sides up a little bit, because you can stand from the side. You don't need to, but this bit it's just out of bounds.
And then one question is, if you do put up prices, but you can't blow dry and you can't tidy a beard and outline all of those things, does that mean that you're charging more for less service?
What can you do? It's the age that we're living in at the moment. We just all have to get through it. So, if you can't, unfortunately, blow dry the hair, I know so many customers who, I might blow dry their hair one day and they say, I'm never going to do that again until I come back and see you next time. So as long as it's a good haircut, then they're not going to blow dry the next day. They don't ever blow dry their hair in between. So it's just.
Could you share any sources of PPE that you have found, because people are really trying to?
I think the problem is with that. Obviously, we've got 27 shops to try and get PPE for, so we are constantly online trying to find it. And you find something, and then you go back to the other shops and, does anybody want any of this because I found it at a good price? By the time we go back on there, it's all gone.
Yeah, it's all gone. Yeah, I think the problem is if we actually did share a link, then that website's just going to get emptied out anyway. So it kind of, I do find that there are plenty of websites out there that do have the stuff. You've just got to look around, and it's really not that hard.
Matt Hancock yesterday said that they have just spent $2 billion on getting PPE for sectors away from the NHS, so for the public use.
So it should be waiting soon.
Yeah, so I have faith that we're going to have something come soon, but we don't know what that is yet.
And are you going to do branded PPE, branded masks?
No.
Yeah, we will.
Then what's the point? It's waste of money, isn't it?
Well, no, because I think that with the washable ones that you can take home, so we're saying to our barbers, buy 4 or 6 and wear a couple during the day. Should last 4 hours or something like that. Wear a couple, have the other couple in the wash. But I've got some of our barbers who just said they're going to buy quite a few of them, so during the week they're more comfortable, to wear a decent mask.
As a owner of 27 barbershops, are you going to be buying more sort of fabric gowns, or are you going to be getting sort of plastic or these polythene? You're going to get ones.
Yeah, I mean it depends. Again, they're really hard to get hold of at the moment. The full gowns, we've got sort of half gowns, if you like, that will do a job. We're doing all we can at the moment, but we've got a lot of our PPE in already. But it is a problem every time you go in there and think, I need something else. It's by the time you get back to it, because you've asked everybody if they want some, it's sold out.
I've seen a couple of people yesterday, I can't remember who it was, but yesterday somebody put on one of the barber forums that they had access to polythene gowns, which are completely recyclable. Apparently they didn't have ties at the neck, but I don't know, maybe you could just snip a couple of stripes in and tie it, I don't know. And I know Luke Dolan did post recently about some biodegradable gowns that were disposable. I'm not sure what they were made of. I'm not sure if he let on where he got them from, but I'd be really interested to know where they are, because where they are from, because I really do not want to buy in a plastic if I can help it.
Well, John, that's funny. That's a point that sort of going back to like the washing the hands thing. It's just the volume of like rubber and plastic being used. Like just for, like on one person, like one barber generating over like say the next month, let alone like an entire team, or let alone an entire area. I think is to be really mindful of how much plastic you are using, and if you can get the biodegradable stuff, then great. But I think that's a really big point about washing hands and the use of rubber gloves. It's just like it's just keeping. Obviously, you're going to get people with eczema and skin conditions. They're going to need to wear gloves. But on the whole, I think if we try and sort of minimise that usage as best as we possibly can.
Yeah,
that's fantastic. I think we're going to conclude at this point. This has been the longest live that Modern Barber's ever done. So thank you so much for all of your time and attention. And
we get a medal for that.
Pardon?
Another one of your awards at the awards.
Yeah, absolutely. The longest live.
That's what I'm going to do now.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And thanks
Thank
to
you.
everyone for watching. All right, take care.
Bye.
Thank you.